Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 311 of our BU 365-day challenge. To do one thing every day that improves us or continuously improves us in some area or aspect of our life. Are we improving in every area and aspect of our life every day? Probably not. Are there some days we hit all 9 areas that we've talked about so far this year? Absolutely. Well, today we're going to talk about, for No Nonsense November, this is day 7 of No Nonsense November. We're going to talk about the idea that we should always be learning. Question right off the bat: do you consider yourself a lifelong learner? Do you feel like you learned, you went to school, you went to grade school, high school, maybe college, maybe not, but you've always been a student of life and you're always picking up new things and nuances and learning as you go about your life? Yes or no? I would consider myself a lifelong learner. I make an effort and a concerted effort to learn and read every single day. Now, given my vision challenges, reading has become a little bit of a back burner activity for me, and I've had to find creative ways to continue to learn every day, given that my vision kind of stinks. And reading, I can read about a page with my magnifying glass and then I start to get a headache. So I read a page at a time, here and there and everywhere, wherever I can sneak it in. So why would we want to be learning? Why do we always want to be learning? I looked up a list of, grabbing my magnifying glass, 7 benefits of being a lifelong learner or learning continuously, right? We start out not really knowing anything about life or about the world. And as we go through our life, we have experiences, we have thoughts and beliefs and things that happen to us that cause us to either be curious about the world around us and want to learn and ask questions, or that just shut us down. Like everybody else, I've had periods of my life where I had things that were going on that actually shut me down, and I was in phases of not learning and not growing. I remember in my 20s, I had chronic pain from a bunch of weird systemic illnesses that the doctors never did figure out. But for a couple of years, I was bedridden most of the time. I had super severe migraines and arthritis, so I couldn't really hardly walk or move. And I had to be in a dark room most of the time and trying to sleep, but the pain would make it so that I couldn't sleep. And that was a really dark period, literally for me, in the dark, as well as a dark period, meaning I had to stop going to college for a while. So I wasn't learning, I wasn't growing. I didn't feel like I was progressing or advancing. And I think one of the common human drivers is that we need to feel like we're making progress towards something, and the best feeling is when we're gaining momentum, when we feel like we're really, really charging forward toward what it is that we want. So what are some of the advantages of learning? And again, it wasn't until I turned back on my get out of the dark learning switch that things started to change for me. And the biggest thing was I realized that I was going to have to be in charge of my own health and well-being and wellness in all areas and aspects of my life, not expecting doctors to fix me. But like so many people, millions and millions of people, I had this belief and expectation that if the doctors would just figure out and diagnose what was wrong with me, then they would know what to do to fix it. Very bad belief system, because it kept me stuck for a long time. So what are some advantages of being a lifelong learner? How does learning benefit us? Number one, it keeps our brain cells working and helps us stay younger. Believe it or not, if you do things that cause you to actually think for yourself every day and think and grow, you stay sharper and you create more neural pathways, and you can handle all life better because you've got a stronger thinking ability, right? My mom does, I think she does those cryptograph books or something, but she's 85 years old. And when you compare her to other people that are 85 years old, it is like night and day. She is so sharp and so amazing. And I think part of it is because she's always loved games and puzzles and word things that keep her mind thinking, right? She played duplicate bridge, she plays cribbage, etc. But those things keep her sharp. So I'm going to take a lesson from her book and her example and continue to learn and read and grow. I used to do those word search puzzles. I haven't really been doing those again, blaming my eyes. But I heard they have giant ones for people that are visually impaired. So I'm going to see if I can find some types of puzzles and things that keep me going, and word puzzles. Number two, it helps us succeed in a job or in life or in relationships or in every other area and aspect of our life. If we're struggling in any area and aspect of our life, one thing we can do is model and learn from other people that have already successfully navigated that challenge, and then try some of the things that they did in our own situation and see what works best for us. So it helps us to solve problems. It can help us to stay healthier. It can help us to stay connected to other people, because if you're going out and you're learning and taking a class or getting involved in different activities, hobbies and things, learning a new hobby is learning, right? It gets us connected with other human beings. And since the COVID pandemic, I and all of us need to do more of that. It's easier than ever to do. Gosh, anything you want to know how to do, just grab your cell phone and Google it. Go to the library, right? When's the last time you were to an actual library? It's been about 2 years for me, because our library got hit by a bad storm and was shut down for a season, and then I just got out of the habit of going there. But I love just to go to the library and wander up and down the aisles and look at the books. You can do the same thing online. You can let your fingers, or your scrolling, do the walking by searching out any topic. Anything you want to know anything about now is on the internet. Now, do your homework, do your due diligence, take a peek through that information and ask yourself, and don't just get stuck on one source. I've always done this, but my friend Avril, who's a reading coach, really reinforces this. She says, hey, read at least 5 different books on the topic, right? At least 5 different sources, because everyone is just sharing their experiences with the topic, what they've learned, their lessons learned by being involved or solving a problem. But we want to have different ways of doing it, because their way might not work for us. So if we only read one source, we might get or stay stuck. But if we read several, or we look up online several YouTube videos on how to do something, chances are one of them is going to click and it's going to help us do or learn exactly what it is that we want to learn. I did that over the holidays one time. I was on my own and I had a stopped up toilet and didn't know what to do about it, because the plunger wasn't working and the plumbers were all off for the holiday, and I had to figure out, what am I going to do with this? And so I watched a couple of YouTube videos. I think I had to watch 2 or 3 before I figured out what method was work for me. It also helps us to keep our personal and professional development goals. Achieving or moving toward. It helps us make progress moving toward whatever it is that we want, whether it's a personal goal, a professional goal, a relationship goal, any area or aspect of our life. So, what is learning? Learning is just the process of acquiring new or modifying existing knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, or preferences, right? One of the things I've learned is that always be learning increases our confidence, right? If we have studied something and we know something about it, if we have knowledge on a topic, it totally boosts our confidence when it comes to having conversations about it or doing something, right? If we've learned how and researched how to do something, chances are when we actually do that, we'll be better at it initially than we would have had we not done any homework or looked into it at all. So our action item today, just share one thing that you learned today. One thing you learned, one thing you read, one thing you heard that you might have heard 100 times before, but it clicked today. Just share one thing like that in the comments below. And I am hitting the road today for a road trip to Texas. Videos will be coming out when they come out. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, have an absolutely fantastic day. Go learn something new.